Hey guys, Lord, you are good, you are really to be praised. Da-da-da-da-da. Hey guys, got this great topic. Come on in, tell your friend to join, guys. Come on, let's talk. I don't have long today. If, as usual, I always just want to throw it out there. If you know you have a question, you want to go ahead and start your request to come live and talk to me, okay? Because I will be gone today in 10 minutes. So this live is not going to be that long. But I just want to make sure I buttress something to you guys. And it's something I started talking about last week, and that's removing conditions. So, if you know anything about immigration law, you know that if a spouse petitions for you and you've been married less than 2 years, immigration is always, usually, every time basically, most likely going to grant you, not most likely, they're definitely going to grant you a 2 year conditional green card. So if you've been married less than 2 years at the time of interview or at the time of issuance, immigration will usually always issue you a 10 year, a 2 year conditional green card. That's if your spouse is the one petitioning for you. So I'm talking to those people in those contexts who now, so now you already have a 2 year conditional green card that you got through your spouse, and now your spouse now, you and your spouse now have gone to a place now, in other words, where you now need to file and petition now to get a 10 year green card. So I just wanted to buttress and make it clear that, look, let's say you and your spouse now petition together, or should I say you and your spouse now file a joint application together, a joint petition for you to remove conditions and for you to get a 10 year green card, and immigration denies it. So what happens? So I just wanted to make this very clear that if you're in that situation where your spouse has now joined an application with you to and petitioned for you now a second time to get now a 10 year green card, but this second time around the application is denied, I want to make it clear to you that according to the law, according to immigration law, you have the right and ability to file a new application. You can file a new removal of conditions application based on a different ground. So let's say last time it was a joint application between you and your spouse. This time around, you could file another application based on VAWA. Or let's say last time it was based on divorce. Maybe you filed an application on your own the very first time to remove conditions, okay, and it was denied. This second time around, what you could do is now file based on a VAWA, okay? So if you filed based on divorce and it was denied, there's still VAWA. If you filed based on VAWA and God forbid, most times that's not denied, but let's say it's denied and you filed to remove conditions based on VAWA, you could always now, this time around, file based on divorce. So in other words, there's multiple and many ways to remove conditions. And if the first time you are denied, there's other grounds. You could just, in other words, refile another application, just use a different ground this time, okay? So, in other words, in immigration law, we have things called grounds, legal basis. So, just use a different basis this time. If the first time around you filed to remove conditions together with your spouse and it was denied, you could still file this time around based on divorce, or this time around you could file based on VAWA. In other words, whichever option you used last time, just don't use it again this time. This time around, you could file a whole separate new application and just use a different ground. So I hope that was very clear. Okay, so I'm going to state it just again for people who just came in. Let's say me and my husband were married, all right, and he petitioned for me to get a green card, and immigration granted me a 2 year conditional green card. So a year and about 2 years later, it's time for me to remove conditions, and me and my husband file another application together again to remove conditions, and immigration this time again denies me. Okay, all right, I'm using myself as an example. So this time around, immigration denies the application that me and my spouse filed together to remove conditions. So now I'm stuck. So in other words, if the application is denied, I no longer have status. Well, the law states if last time I used, if last time I was denied, I still have the ability to file a whole new application to remove conditions and get a 10-year green card, as long as it's based on a different ground. So this time around, as long as I qualify, let's say this time around, we finally now, maybe last time me and my husband were still together, but now we've divorced. So this time around, I could just file a new application based on divorce. All right. Or let's say last time me and my husband were on good terms, but since then he's become abusive. So this time around, then I could just file a new application to remove conditions now based on VAWA. This is something that a lot of people don't know. And when people are denied from a removal conditions applications, many people always just leave it. Don't do that. Don't leave it. We talked about that last time. Don't leave it. Call a lawyer immediately. And once you get your denial notice, you have other options. In other words, the point of this live is let you know you have other options, and there's many ways to remove conditions. Okay. And of course, there's even the other ground of, like, let's say if your spouse died. What if your spouse died? So if your spouse died and maybe and now you feel you're stuck, you're not stuck, you can remove conditions now based on death. Okay, based on the death of your spouse. So there's many different options, in other words. And if you're denied the first time on your 2-year green card application, or sorry, on your application to remove conditions, that's usually the application to get a 10-year green card from a 2-year green card, right? So if you're denied the first time, just remember there's other ways now to reapply and now get a 10-year green card. So in other words, in summary, there's multiple ways to remove conditions. You can remove conditions together with your spouse, which is what Congress intended when they first came up with this whole 2-year green card in the first place. You can remove conditions based on you entering the marriage for valid reasons, but you've ended up divorcing. So based on divorce, you could remove conditions based on you entering the marriage for valid reasons, but the marriage has since become abusive or toxic. That's VAWA. Okay. You can remove conditions based on death of the spouse, and you also can remove conditions based on extreme hardship. So moral of the story is, if you are denied the first time around when you try to get your 10-year green card from a 2-year green card, don't stop there. You still have hope, probably. You probably this time around could qualify to remove conditions based on a different ground, such as divorce, such as VAWA. I need to tell you, though, that removing conditions on your own without your spouse, these are technically supposed to have a higher legal burden. Not they're supposed to, they do have sort of a higher legal burden, because you're no longer removing conditions together with your spouse. So if you're going to remove conditions on your own this time around, you really do need to have a lawyer. That's for sure. I could tell you that for sure. So if you find yourself in a situation where your first removal of conditions application for a 10-year green card was denied, I would definitely recommend, definitely you do need a lawyer this time. And I always say it doesn't have to be me. Of course, I prefer it's me, but it doesn't have to be me. Whoever it is, just make sure you get a very good immigration lawyer, and make sure you this time around you use the help of a lawyer, because you're not petitioning with your spouse. And remember, immigration really normally intends for you to remove conditions. Sorry, something went off. And remember, immigration typically intends, what they intended is for you to remove conditions together with your spouse. So anytime you're not removing conditions together with your spouse, you definitely, absolutely, definitely recommend that you really, really want to make sure you use a lawyer this time, because, in other words, it's a higher legal burden. It's a bit tougher to win on these grounds that I just told you about than, of course, if you're petitioning together with your spouse. But that said, I've already said, and I've done other lives on this topic many times before, and I've always told you that VAWA is one of the best way to remove conditions if you're removing alone without your spouse. I definitely will always recommend VAWA. All right, and because I've seen it work, also because I've seen it actually take less time. VAWA removal of conditions applications that are based on violence, to me, based on abuse, in other words, to me, have always taken, in my experience, the ones that I've done have been much, much faster than even the ones that you file with your spouse. So let's say we are two friends. I'm one friend, you're friend number two. Let's say friend number two removed conditions, file a removal conditions application with their spouse, and I file a removal conditions applications based on VAWA. It's been my experience that friend number one, will usually end their process much faster, and the decision end will come out much faster for a VAWA one. in my experience than for any other removal conditions application. And I think the reason is simply just because immigration doesn't want you to remain or be in a dangerous situation. All right. So I'm gonna start taking questions. That's it. And I hope that's very, very clear. I tried to make that as clear as possible. How long will it take to get a review, to get a response when they redo a review? I'm thinking you're talking about requests for evidence. No one really knows, madam. Sometimes it's a few weeks, sometimes a few months. And actually, immigration never actually usually just gives. They don't actually full ever really respond to a request for evidence. What they will do is, whenever they've made a decision after reviewing your request for evidence, they'll either just accept. I mean, they'll either just approve your application or deny it. And that's usually how you know they review the request for evidence. So they don't actually do a separate response on a request for evidence. That they will never do. They never have really. But what they will do is, the only way you're gonna know is that they actually reviewed your request for evidence is they're just either gonna approve the application or deny it. That's kind of how it goes. All right, and I'm start taking questions live now. Okay. Someone asked, how long does it typically take to get work permits? Work permits typically right now are taking 6 to 10 months. Sometimes it could take less time than that. Sometimes it could take more time. But again, in my experience, work permits and travel permits right now are taking just about 6 to 10 months. All right. I'm taking questions live on Instagram, and I'll be going. I'll probably be going off. This is for 3 p.m. By 4:10, I'll probably leave. But again, I just want to buttress, because different people are coming in at different times. If you were already denied previously on a removal conditions application, don't leave it alone. Just know you probably have other grounds. You probably have other ways to remove conditions. Just make sure you consult with a lawyer. And then I would always recommend that this time around you use a lawyer for sure. Of course, especially also because the first time around you applied, you were denied. So you definitely want to increase your chances and use a lawyer this second time around. All right. If there's no questions, I'm gonna wait one or two. If there's no live questions within the next minute or so, I'll consider it a day and we'll leave it there. Is it possible to get a green card if you cross the border and you get married? Yes, definitely possible to get a green card even if you cross the border. In other words, without inspections, absolutely possible. You're gonna need a waiver typically, unless it's a VAWA case. So the only exception to that is, in other words, you're gonna need to eventually still go back out and come back in and fulfill the requirement you're supposed to do initially, right? The only way that keeps you from not having to leave the country and come back in because you weren't inspected in the first place. This is my answer to one, Bruno, would be VAWA. So with VAWA, like let's say if you now end up in a toxic or a bad relationship with your U.S. citizen spouse and you file for adjustment of status through VAWA, with VAWA, you will not have to leave the United States. That's just an exception, a perk that VAWA law has. So for people who are entering right now, we have a lot of Senegalese, by the way, a lot of Africans in 2024, 2023, at the end of last year, crossed the border. For the first time, we had the most amount of Africans to ever cross the border without inspection. So let's say you're one of those people, you come in and you get married. If your spouse is petitioning for you, you're still going to be able to get a green card, but at some point you're going to have to leave the country and re-enter with a waiver. But the only exception to that is if you marry someone who's abusive or toxic, God forbid, but if you end up in that bad situation, it does have the benefit of the fact that if you file to get a green card through VAWA, you're not going to have to leave the country. It's one of the only ways that says no, you don't have to leave the country. Everything can just be done here, even though you initially entered without inspection. So that's a very long answer to Bruno, but I just wanted to caption that because I know there's a lot of Senegalese right now and just a lot of Africans really, more recently, who have been coming in through the border who never came in with a visa. And those sorts of people typically needed to have, at least traditionally, needed to have a waiver before they can get a green card. But I just wanted to make that clear that with VAWA, There's no such thing. With VAWA, you don't have to leave and re-enter. If you're filing an adjustment of status application through VAWA, it's gonna exempt, it's gonna forgive the fact, in other words, the fact that you entered in without legal inspection. Okay. Can you file aggressive asylum after 3 years in the country? Yes, absolutely. I filed for asylum after 5 years, even after 6 years, provided it's a good case. So the longer you've stayed here without filing for asylum, the stronger your case really needs to be. But yeah, to answer the person's question, yes, absolutely, provided you qualify. All right, guys, nobody's really coming in to come live, ask questions, and that's my preference. So I think we'll stop it here. Make sure you share this video, guys. Share this video to anyone and who may be interested, and we can go from there. Someone asked, why is my VAWA case transferred? It's very normal for them to transfer cases, by the way. It doesn't mean anything happened with your case. All right, doesn't mean anything happened with your case. Let me take this one question and then we'll go. Hello? Hello? Did it not come in? Hello? Okay.
Yes, so I filed my VAWA in December 2021. They asked for RFE, and I sent it since August 2022. I haven't been given a prima facie. Nothing. There's nothing. So I was wondering.
You're just kind of wondering what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it means they're not really ready to make a decision yet. And like I said, they'll never respond to a request for evidence. They just don't do that. They just don't have that kind of time. So whenever they actually review it, you'll either get an approval or denial. That's how it works.
Because I have my I-485 still pending, so I'm able to renew my travel document.
Correct.
And my work permit.
Correct.
Yeah, but
and you can always write Vermont Service Center and tell them your prima facie has expired and you'd like them to renew, but nothing to worry about. If they haven't denied it, they haven't denied it. That's just what it is. And you're just going to keep waiting till they're ready to make a decision.
Yeah, because I was a bit worried because I saw people saying they get prima facie like in months. And I'm like, but it's been years. And so what is going on? So I was getting on.
Did you have a lawyer, ma'am? Or you did this
already? Yes, I do. But they tell me there's nothing they can do. They just have to wait.
No, you tell your lawyer to write them to at least issue a prima facie. Yeah, but it doesn't mean, by the way, that anything has gone wrong in your case. Getting a prima facie is a good, it's a good sign, but it doesn't mean anything has gone wrong per se.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Thank you, madam.
Right, thank you.
Bye-bye. All right. I have 1 more minute, so I'll take this one last question. Hello.
Hello. Hi, ma'am. How are you?
Good. How can I help?
Actually, ma'am, I have a question regarding my VAWA pending. I applied in 2019 November.
Okay.
And I got my work permit, and last year I got my travel document also.
Okay.
When I tried to contact with my lawyer, he not responding, nothing. He's over almost his 48 month. I don't know what I'm be doing with my pending case.
When was it filed?
And in November 2019.
Oh. I think you need to contact a congressman or something. I think that may be a little bit long now. I think it's getting a bit long. And yeah, that's what I would do if I were you.
Okay, yeah. Because last year in March I sent an email to senator, but they don't reply anything, nothing. So I have to contact with the congressman, right, ma'am?
Yeah, just Google congressman near my zip code, call a couple of them, and then ask to speak to the department that handles delayed immigration cases,
okay.
and then see if you'll be able to get some answers. Yeah.
Okay, if I want to transfer my case to you guys, so what's the procedure for that?
I mean, we can take the case, but I think at this point I wouldn't be doing much for you. I would just be eating your money. I think it's better that you follow up on it now. Yeah, because there won't be much I'm doing on it now.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah.
Right. Thank you so much,
Thank
ma'am.
you.
Thank you so
Tell
much.
all your friends about us.
I'm
All
always
right.
watching your videos, so you're really nice and doing a good job, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you. Just refer your friends. Right. Okay, guys. Take one more. And then we'll be done. Hello? I do see a question I want to answer. Okay, hello?
Hey.
How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Good.
So I have two quick questions I want to ask you. Thank you so much. I mean, I've been listening to you, and I can tell, like, you know what you're saying. And
Okay.
you know what you're doing.
Thank
you for this.
Mm-hmm.
So two questions I want to ask you. You already answered that you do, but that was one of the things the guy asked.
I can only answer one.
If I can swap my lawyer, a lawyer that started my case, if I can swap it somewhere.
You can. It depends on how far you've gone. You can. And I actually need to answer. I forgot to ask that guy. I don't know if he filed all the forms. Let me just quickly talk to you and that guy at the same time. I'm sure he's still the guy that was on before you, that I answered these questions before you. I'm sure he's still listening. So sorry if you're listening. If your lawyer only filed just an I-360. I don't know why that guy left. I wasn't telling him to leave. If your lawyer filed only the I-360, let's say, and now you need to try, and now it's taking that long, you still probably would need another lawyer if there's other additional forms to be done. So I needed to clarify and make that clear, that it depends. If the other lawyer already did all the forms for you, then there's nothing I can do for you at this point. But to answer you and the gentleman that just hung up right now, if all the forms weren't filed, meaning if your lawyer only filed like one or two forms, like if your lawyer only filed, like, let's say the I-360, then there's other additional forms that the lawyer did not do. And in other words, you definitely will still need the help of another lawyer, and it's not too late to switch over. So that's my answer to you and the guy is yes, it's possible to switch over depending on how many forms are filed and depending on what stage of the case we're at. Okay. Someone asked me, how long does it take for us to get started after you hire us? There was a time when we're less busy, when we would take us like 1 week to finalize your case. But now we're up to about 3 weeks. Right now it's taking us about 3 weeks to 4 weeks to get off a case, just because we have much more cases. But yes, right now I would say it would probably take us about 3 weeks once you hire us before we submit your case. I wanted to make sure I answered that question for someone as well that I saw written down. And then let me see, did these people have any questions that I need to quickly answer here on YouTube? Sorry, guys. What did I do? I don't see the questions anymore. What did I do? Oh, there we go. Show chat. Exit full screen. Okay. So, guys, once again, I just want to answer a question here on YouTube and Facebook, so they don't feel I'm being unfair. If someone's has a pending asylum and got advanced parole through VAWA, can you travel to another different country? Yes, you can definitely travel, madam. Sir. You can definitely travel on a pending asylum case. But the only problem is, the only thing is you cannot go to your home country. So if you go to your home country, you would end up forfeiting your asylum case. All right. So if you can travel, but definitely just you can't travel to your home country. If you do, you end up forfeiting your asylum case. All right. Then someone asked me, after how long for filing for VAWA with adjustment of status, would you get a work permit? Okay, I've already discussed that. Work permits and travel permits right now are taking about 6 to 10 months, and they are for 5 years. All right, so that was one of the newest developments of the end of last year, is that right now if you file for work permit, travel permit, it will actually be for 5 years. Yay! So I'm happy for this new set of people that are going to get 5-year work permits. It went from 1 year to 2 years. Now it's 5 years. So congratulations in advance for all the people who are going to be getting work permits and travel permits at this time. Okay, guys, that's it for today. I hope this helped somebody. And if it helped you, and if you know someone who can help, like I always say, make sure you share, share, share. Don't be stingy. If you need my help, give us a call at 901-306-7123. And that's right there at the bottom, 901-306-7123, and schedule your phone consultation. As the year goes by, I get busier. I just want to put that out there. I get really, really busy, and my consultations times really, really go up higher. So now would be the time to schedule a consultation. Now would be that time for you to schedule a consultation. All right. Wow, someone just wrote a nice compliment. Thank you. If you're looking for a immigration lawyer, I'm gonna read this. A selfish plug. I'm gonna read it. Attorney Wafula is your best. My vow was pending for 5 years. Immediately, I reached out to Wafula. Everything went so fast. Within 1 year, 2 months, I got it all. Ah! Please read this. I'm gonna take a screenshot of this. This is just such a nice compliment. Here, take a screenshot. Sure did. All right, guys. If you need me, you know how to reach me. Thank you, guys. Bye bye. Hey guys, got this great, great topic. Come on in. Tell your friend to join, guys. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Let's talk. Yeah, okay.